focusing on what you can't do. Right?
Awesome. I love that.
Did you have a lot of did you have lady attention during that time? Was that something that caused any distraction? Because I know it's hard to do both, especially when there's like lady attention.
Yes.
So did you have any
Lady attention?
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, lady
no,
attention.
but you know, like girls, you know, when you're interested in a girl, I've seen guys just like throw out what they're doing just because of the girl, you know. And
Well, like Kanye once said, who's all up in the news these days, I don't know what's better, getting laid or getting paid. I know when I'm focused on one, the other's getting away. Doesn't sound like he was focusing on the
Right.
lady attention at that time.
But did
He
you
was getting
have
that
any
money.
temptation? Like your friends, were there any like?
yeah.
How did that go?
That's-
What like stopped you? What was that?
Your friend group is very influential. And at that time, especially in the restaurant industry,
Yeah.
it's get off work at 9:30, 10 o'clock, go party,
Yes. Yep.
sleep in until noon the next day, get up, do it again. That's like the Bermuda Triangle so many of them fall into, they don't get out of.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, what stopped me out of it was at that time in my life, I was waiting for marriage. I was a virgin and I didn't want. So when you have temptation come your way, when you're not waiting, you look at it like, okay, are they good for this reason or this reason? Like you guys talk about this all the time, right?
Right.
When there's one path and that's the only path you want, it's a very clear decision. Like, no, I'm not doing that because we don't get along. We don't have the same values. She's not wanting to be married. She's kind of getting passed around the friend group of people we have. That is not appealing. And so I just kept going, right? And like that level of focus, having clarity on what you want, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a business, it makes such an easy decision out of the distractions that can come your way, right? It's when you open yourself up to everything that like 80% of your day is trying to figure out, well, where do I want to go? And
Right.
you only have 20% left to even
Yeah.
focus.
I mean, it sounds like you abided by the chase success, not women philosophy. And I'm sure you've had some fun in your day, don't get me wrong. But when you're tunnel focused on success, yeah, there's going to be some peripheral stuff that goes on in your life. But as you've realized, I'm sure the more successful you get, the more options you're going to have, whether that's business, whether that's relationships, whether that's networking. Good things will happen the more successful you become.
Yeah, but I didn't know that at the time.
No,
That
you
was
never
Let's
do.
say your clarity.
You never
like
do.
how did you get clarity like that at such a young age?
I think part of it probably had to do with seeing how much my parents fought and just knowing like marriage is hard. There's no way around it. And I could kind of sense, I don't know where it came from. I would guess my relationship with God had something to do with that, where I understood, like, if you want to be a Navy SEAL, it's very hard. You have to prepare to go be a Navy SEAL. You don't accidentally do it. Playing sports, every off season, you're preparing for the season that's coming, and you're thinking in your head, that other guy wants to take my starting spot. That other player wants to beat us. There's a competition that I was very well aware of in the world that men deal with that I don't think every other young man understood. You're in a competition.
Yeah.
It looks like a nice, friendly world we're living in. It's freaking not.
Yeah.
That dude will take your minutes. He will take your spot. That girl will like him instead of you. This is a brutal world that I'm living in. And I looked at marriage like, if you're not being prepared for what it's like to go do it, you're going to fail at it. It's you're constantly telling your flesh no, your selfishness no, putting another person above you, having to be patient, having to deal with the person that's wired literally the opposite of how everything in your brain tells you how to do. Like, how often do we have the whole men want to fix things and women just want empathy thing? Like, dudes, we don't give each other empathy. It doesn't even occur to me if I'm like, man, I
Suck
lost
it
this
up, bro.
big deal. Adam's not going to be like, oh, David, that must be so hard.
Yeah.
You
No,
work so
that's not-
hard.
we're not
He's-
wired that way.
No, he's going to say, well,
Life's
how'd
tough,
you lose
dude.
it?
Yeah.
I did this. How can you avoid that next time? It's very practical, because that's how we show each other love.
Right.
I don't know a woman alive that wants that.
Yeah.
They're not looking for that, right? So part of what I think the problem is with men and women's relationship today is we are not trained for how you're supposed to be good at interacting with the other. And I never had sisters. I didn't have girlfriends. I knew I was unprepared. So I think a lot of that focus came from like, marriage is hard and I want to be ready. I don't want us to ever fight about money. If you're incredibly out of shape or you're not physically attractive, it's going to be harder for her to not cheat on you. Make it easy for the other person if you can, right? If you're not funny, if you're boring, it's going to be hard for them to want to stay with you. There's going to be competition. Other people are going to want to try to sleep with your girl. And at the same time, you're going to be tempted to want to do the same thing for somebody else. So you need to find a person that you can be faithful to. Like, they're going to have to be a special human being. And when I looked around, I just was like, man, I'm just trying so much harder at life. There's so much effort going in than everybody else around me. That was why it was easy to not just get a girlfriend just because. I wasn't looking at women that were like, I am preparing to be a mom or I'm preparing to be a wife. I know the world's a hard place and I want to build myself up so I'm strong enough to be able to handle that. So it wasn't that tempting at that time.
Yeah. So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another. Or if you want to watch the entire Saucecast, click right here.